Welcome back, everyone! Today we're diving into part 2 of our review on A Silent Song and Other Stories, featuring tales that bring us everything from revenge plots to the fine line between cohabiting and marriage. So let's not waste any time, grab a comfy seat, and let's get into the thick of it with The Sins of the Fathers. Our first story, The Sins of the Fathers by Charles Mugoshi, gives us a front-row seat to a dark family saga set in rural Zimbabwe. Our main character, Rondo, is filled with one mission to bring down his father, Rwafa. Why, you ask? Well, it turns out his father, a former political big shot with plenty of power, is also his worst enemy. Imagine Thanksgiving dinners in that family, right? So here's the setup. Rondo's daughters, Una and Rhoda, along with his father-in-law Basil, die in a mysterious car accident. But Rondo is sure it's no accident. He suspects his father, Rwafa, orchestrated it as punishment for him marrying Selina, daughter of Basil, who just so happens to be Rwafa's rival. And yes, things get more intense from here. Rondo's suspicions are fueled by his friend Gaston, who drops hints like a TV detective with lines like, "Ever wondered about the 2nd Street accidents?" Suddenly, it all clicks for Rondo. In flashbacks, we see his father's blatant disapproval of his choices, including a disturbing scene where young Rondo's guitar, a symbol of his freedom, is thrown into a fire by Rwafa. Seriously, talk about hardcore parenting. Rwafa is not just any dad. He's the embodiment of an authoritarian nightmare. He even humiliates Rondo at a family gathering, dishing out public lectures on loyalty while people are still waiting for their party favors. But when Rondo decides to confront his father, gun in hand, it seems the cycle of violence is about to come full circle. And just as we brace ourselves for the ultimate showdown, we hear a soft, muffled plop. Mugoshi leaves us with this haunting reminder of how family grudges and political resentment can shape a person's identity, and not always in a good way. Phew! And just when you think you've seen it all, next up we have The Truly Married Woman by Abiose Nicole, a tale that explores the age-old debate marriage versus cohabitation. So meet Ajayi and Ayo. They've been living together happily for years. Except Ayo wants the real deal, a wedding, the ring, all of it. But Ajayi? He thinks weddings are just one big bill he's not paying. Ayo is determined though, and after much coaxing, she finally lets the dream go and settles into their life as it is. However, she keeps her hopes quietly tucked away. Now, here's where it gets good. Ajayi's workplace is visited by a group from the World Gospel Crusading Alliance. He thinks they're just here to hand out free Bibles, but the chief clerk ends up defending him from their, let's call it, enthusiastic membership pitch. Ajayi, ever the host, invites the missionaries over for dinner. And Ayo? Well, she's in full-on respectable housewife mode, even borrowing a wedding ring from the neighbor to keep up appearances. And wouldn't you know it, Ajayi finally pops the question, declaring he's ready to marry his wife for real. Ayo's so thrilled she starts planning the wedding immediately. She even chooses a gray dress, symbolic because, hey, she's already a mother of 3. This doesn't sit well with Ajayi, who envisioned her in classic white. After they finally get hitched, things take an unexpected turn. Ayo goes through a big transformation, now officially the wife. She steps back from her wifely duties, even telling Ajayi, "I'm a truly married woman now, which means a little more respect around here, please." Nicole paints a thought-provoking picture of love, tradition, and the modern struggle to balance freedom and commitment. It's a satire on how marriage changes perspectives, sometimes overnight. Next up, we're exploring Talking Money by Stanley Gazemba. Ever met a guy who loves money so much he'd sell his soul? Okay, maybe not his soul, but close enough to get his hands on a fat wad of cash? That's Mukidanyi for you, our main man in this story. Meet Mukidanyi, a man on a mission. He's a cattle trader with the personality of a storm cloud and a mind made of pure, stubborn rock. His brothers come to him like, "Hey man, maybe don't sell the land. It's family property after all." But Mukidanyi isn't having it. Oh no, he chases them off like they're intruders trying to swipe his last dollar. And his poor wife? She tries to talk sense into him and, well, let's just say it doesn't end in a heartfelt moment. So Mukidanyi's waiting, practically drooling over the thought of cash. And as soon as his buyers show up, he rolls out the red carpet. The clients don't even haggle, which, let's be honest, is when most people would think, Wait a second, this sounds too good to be true. But Mukidanyi? Nope. He's ready to sell off his land with a smile and a thumbprint signature. I mean, who needs a pen when you've got thumbs? But hold up. Later that night, as Mukidanyi's hugging his cash, strange noises start echoing around him. His wife's like, "It's evil spirits, but Mukidanyi?" He's starting to wonder if his dreams of wealth have turned into a nightmare. And guess what he does? He freaks out, grabs all that money, and returns it faster than you can say bad deal. Gazemba crafts a story that dives deep into the ways greed can haunt a person. Mukidanyi's downfall isn't just the sale itself, but his obsession with money. A cautionary tale about how love for cash can leave you lonely and rattled by the eerie whispers of guilt. Alright, on to Ghosts by the legendary Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. If you thought dealing with taxes or getting your pension was scary, wait till you meet Professor James Nwoye. He's a retired professor, waiting endlessly for his pension, which, spoiler alert, he still hasn't received. Instead of sweet retirement vibes, he's greeted by a wave of corruption. So there he is, our Professor James, grumbling about bureaucracy, when out of nowhere he runs into a ghost. Or, well, at least what he thinks is a ghost. It's his old colleague Ikenna Okoro, who was supposed to have died in the Biafran War. Now James is a modern, educated guy, but even he can't shake that momentary instinct to throw sand and run. The reunion stirs up memories, a mix of camaraderie and the bitterness of a world steeped in war, loss, and corruption. The two discuss past struggles, the battle against oppression, the toll of counterfeit medicines, and the shadows of corruption that hang over every aspect of life. Adichie captures something profound here. James and Ikenna's conversation shows that sometimes our ghosts are the memories we carry, of battles fought and lost, of loved ones gone, of a society that's as haunted by its mistakes as by its supernatural legends. Next up, we have a classic from Russia, The Story of God Sees But Waits, written by none other than the master of moral stories himself, Leo Tolstoy. So imagine this. You're a cheerful merchant in Vladimir, Russia in the 19th century, and life is good. You've got 2 shops, a lovely family, and a past as a legendary party animal. Now retired, of course. Our protagonist, Ivan Dmitrich Aksionov, is living his best reformed life. He says goodbye to his wife and kids one morning, heading to a trade fair in Nizhny, when bam, his wife drops a horror movie-worthy warning. "Honey, I had a bad dream about you. Maybe, don't go?" But Ivan shrugs it off, thinking, "Psh, what's the worst that could happen?" "Oh, just everything." Ivan spends the night at an inn, like any responsible traveler, and is back on the road in the morning. But suddenly the Russian police show up, sirens wailing. Okay, not really, but you get the idea. And here's the kicker. They arrest our dear Ivan for murder. Murder! Apparently some scoundrel killed a fellow merchant and, would you believe it, planted the murder weapon in Ivan's bag. Talk about a setup. So Ivan is shipped off to Siberia for a mind-boggling 26 years. Ouch! In Siberia, Ivan becomes the prison's unofficial guru, a sage-like figure with a long beard who everyone loves because he's, well, a truly good man. But guess what happens next? Enter the villain. The real murderer, Makar Semyonik, lands in prison for a minor crime. Talk about a small world. Ivan knows Makar is the guy who ruined his life, and Makar is, understandably, sweating bullets. One day, Makar tries to tunnel out of the prison. Think of it as an early, clumsy version of Shawshank Redemption. Ivan catches him but doesn't snitch. Why? Because Ivan is apparently too good for this cruel world. Makar, crushed with guilt, confesses to the crime and begs for forgiveness. Ivan weeps. They have a heartfelt moment. But before Ivan can finally taste freedom, he dies. Yep, he just dies. Talk about cosmic irony. Leo Tolstoy really knew how to make you ponder life, didn't he? Now we zoom into the gritty streets of Remy Ngarnidier's The Neighborhood Watch. This isn't your average stroll through the park, it's a full-blown survival guide for street kids in an unforgiving urban jungle. Meet Elias and his crew, Lazarus, Silas, Omagano, and Martin. These aren't your typical Avengers, but more like the scavengers. And every morning, they wake up under a bridge, their luxury penthouse made of whatever scraps they've scrounged. Elias is the mastermind, the guy with a plan, or as much of a plan as one can have when surviving off other people's trash. They divide and conquer. Elias, Omagano, and Lazarus are the food squad, diving into bins with the finesse of Olympic swimmers. Silas and Martin are the valuables team, hunting for any treasure. Even if treasure means a half-decent pair of shoes or a usable comb. Their life revolves around strategic dumpster diving. Awasplik, a 5-star buffet, Olympia and Sweeterhof, packed with competition, and heaven forbid they step foot in Komistal again after the tragedy that took their friend Amos. This crew has street smarts, yes, but they also carry emotional scars. They've seen things like literal babies in dumpsters, leading them to make some ethical rules about where they scavenge. Because, hey, even the scavengers have a moral code. Yet, despite all the hardships, these kids cling to hope, or at least to today. They dream of finding a job, although job optimism is about as dead as their old buddy Amos. Sundays are their golden days, thanks to a kind-hearted soul named Mrs. Bezwedenhout, who gifts them food, clothes, and books. But they worry, what if she leaves someday? It's a fragile existence, and their story forces us to ask, what would you do to survive in their world? Next, we have December. Now, I know what you're thinking. What kind of name is December for a girl? Well, her dad, Silas Shikongo, clearly had a unique sense of naming. Maybe he was hoping she'd bring the warmth of summer during winter. So, December has a younger brother named September. Yes, you heard that right. A girl named December and a boy named September. I mean, are they just 1 month away from being the ultimate calendar family? But things take a turn when December accidentally injures September with a hoe while nursing him. A hoe, people, who knew gardening could lead to family drama. Their grandfather Ezekiel believes this mishap has traces of idiocy, which begs the question, is he talking about September or just a bad case of gardening? He then forbids December from eating chicken, claiming that's just how things are. Like, excuse me, Ezekiel, I think we need a chicken-loving therapist here. Despite the family chaos, these two siblings are academic geniuses. But just as they're about to start teachers training college, December develops a psychiatric condition. Ezekiel goes full-on conspiracy theorist, insisting she's bewitched. Seriously, Ezekiel? This isn't a witch hunt, it's just teenage angst. He dumps her at the hospital, which honestly feels like a scene from a really twisted family sitcom. Now, September is studying in the UK, and when he comes back, the nurse won't let him in because he's late. Imagine that. Sorry, you can't see your sister because you missed your visiting hour. I mean, can't a brother catch a break? But fear not. Enter Chuvani, the supervisor. Just a casual chat with her, and suddenly the guards are gone. It's like a scene from a superhero movie, except the superpower is just charm and familiarity. When September finally sees December, she's in rough shape, but he brings gifts. Everything from jerseys to KFC chips. Nothing says I care quite like fast food. It's like, hey, forget the psychiatric condition, let's focus on chicken. Meanwhile, Ezekiel has a dream about a pond where leopards drink and Joseph is chilling there. A search party finds Joseph right at the exact spot. Talk about a family reunion. But the next day, September is burying Ezekiel with his secrets next to his father. This family really takes the term keeping it in the family to a whole new level. Next up is Boyi. This story takes us to Mount Elgon in Kenya during a time of conflict. A militia group is formed to protect the land, but instead of being heroes, they turn on their own people. Isn't that just like every family reunion where one uncle always starts a fight? Our narrator's dad, Baba, is considered a traitor for helping the government. Honestly, it's like being accused of stealing the last piece of cake at a birthday party. No one wants to be that guy. Boyi and the narrator laugh off the impending doom thinking they're safe. But then, Matwake shows up demanding a staggering 40,000 shillings as Elan protection tax. This is a real-life version of pay your dues, or else. Baba, unable to pay, pushes Boyi to join the militia. And you thought asking your kid to do chores was tough. Now, Boyi's mother is having a meltdown, hallucinating about rainbows and unicorns. A case of, I wish I could just go back to sleep. Fast forward to the government raiding the militia, and Boyi, now Matwake's right-hand man, gets captured. The family's hopes rest on a knife's edge as they wonder if Boyi will make it back. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Talk about a plot twist. Last but not least, we have Checkmate. Here, we meet Sukiya, a damsel from Trinidad who finds herself in a financial mess involving millions of dollars. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of accidentally becoming a millionaire, right? Sukiya's in line to deposit $30 million, no biggie. Just your average Tuesday, folks. But then she faces a panic moment when a mistake throws her into chaos. It's like when you realize you left your phone at home while you're in the middle of a presentation. Enter Randall Credo, her boss who's as shifty as a cat on a hot tin roof. He's worried about offshore hackers cleaning out his accounts, so he makes a $5 million check payment. But that's not all. He uses Sukiya to create loopholes for sketchy deals. Talk about working for a shady boss. Sukiya drives home in her posh car, obsessing over the millions in her account, but worried about fraud and investigations. It's like that moment when you get a new job and can't stop refreshing your bank app to see if your paycheck hit. When Sukiya confronts Randall about the check, it turns into a game of who's the bigger scoundrel. Randall thinks he can blackmail her, but little does he know, Sukiya is tech-savvy and ready to turn the tables. Cue the triumphant music. I mean, if you're going to get blackmailed, at least have the upper hand with technology. So there you have it, folks. A Silent Song and Other Stories gives us powerful stories filled with humor, family drama, societal issues, and a pinch of wit. Which story resonated with you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more literary adventures. Until next time, keep reading and keep laughing. P.S. In case you haven't watched part 1 of this tale, be sure to click this video suggestion or watch our latest video. See you in the next one.